Good evening, my friends. Take a moment and imagine yourself standing before a doorway. It does not look extraordinary. There are no signs, no dramatic lights, no evidence that something life changing is waiting beyond it. To anyone else, it would appear to be just an ordinary entrance. But you know something different. You sense that on the other side exists a version of life that feels deeply connected to who you truly are. A life where the things you have quietly desired, the dreams you have carried privately, and the possibilities you have wondered about are no longer distant hopes but your present reality. The most remarkable part is that you are not walking toward this doorway someday in the future. You are already standing before it. Your hand is already touching the frame. The only thing separating you from this new reality is the awareness that you have always possessed the power to enter it. These words are not creating that power. They are simply awakening something inside you that has been waiting for the right moment to be recognized. Every major transformation that has ever taken place in human history began in the same place. Not with perfect circumstances, unlimited resources, or the approval of others, but with a single idea held with absolute conviction. A thought becomes powerful when it is accepted deeply enough, when it is repeated with enough feeling, and when it becomes part of the identity of the person holding it. Before anything appears in the physical world, it first exists in the invisible world of imagination and belief. The buildings that shape cities, the inventions that changed humanity, and the achievements once considered impossible all began as invisible ideas inside someone's mind. The same creative force exists within you. Your life is not simply something happening to you. It is constantly being shaped by the thoughts you repeatedly accept, the beliefs you carry, and the assumptions you make about yourself and your future. What you believe about yourself becomes the foundation from which your reality grows. Your external world is a reflection of your internal state. Like a mirror, life does not judge what it reflects. It does not choose to show you what you want or hide what you fear. It simply reveals what is placed before it. Your experiences, relationships, opportunities, and circumstances often reflect the beliefs and emotional patterns that exist within you. If you constantly assume limitation, rejection, or struggle, your attention naturally moves toward evidence that supports those beliefs. But when you transform your inner identity, when you begin to see yourself as someone who is worthy, capable, loved, and abundant, the way you interact with life begins to change. This is why true transformation does not begin by fighting against the outside world. It begins by changing the inner world that creates your perception of everything around you. The invisible always comes before the visible. The inner state always influences the outer experience. The greatest tool available to you in this process is imagination. Not imagination as a temporary escape from reality, and not imagination as a simple fantasy that disappears when you open your eyes. Imagination is the place where new realities are first created. When you close your eyes and experience a desired outcome with emotion, detail, and certainty, you are practicing becoming the person who already lives that reality. You are not pretending, you are aligning yourself with the new state of being. Ask yourself, if you already had the financial freedom, the love, the confidence, or the success you desire, how would you feel today? How would you walk? How would you speak? How would you make decisions? When you begin living from that inner state, your actions, choices, and awareness naturally begin matching that version of yourself. The world around you starts responding differently because you are no longer the same person who created the old circumstances. You have changed the source, and when the source changes, the reflection must eventually change as well. Positive thinking often focuses only on changing what appears on the surface, but true transformation begins much deeper. It is not about repeating words while secretly holding the same fears, doubts, and feelings of limitation underneath. The real shift happens when you change the foundation of your identity. The quiet assumptions you carry about who you are, what you deserve, and what is possible for you. When that inner foundation changes, transformation no longer becomes something you are desperately waiting for. It becomes the natural result of who you have become internally. The outer world eventually follows the state you consistently occupy within yourself. Many people become discouraged because they have tried different methods before. They have imagined their dreams, repeated affirmations, read countless books, and attempted to create positive emotions. yet they looked around and saw no immediate evidence of change. As time passed, uncertainty began to grow, and they started questioning whether the process worked at all. But the missing piece is often not the practice itself, it is the state from which the practice is performed. The true power does not come from simply creating a mental picture, it comes from experiencing that picture as a present reality. There is a difference between hoping for something and accepting it as something that already belongs to you. A person can imagine wealth while still feeling the emotions of someone who is struggling. They can visualize success, freedom, and abundance. But if the deeper feeling beneath that image is fear, scarcity, or unworthiness, then the stronger signal is the emotional state they are living from. Reality responds not merely to the pictures you create in your mind, but to the identity and feeling behind those pictures. An image without emotion is only a desire. But when the image and the feeling become one, when you no longer imagine yourself receiving something in the future, but experience yourself as already being that person now, everything changes. This is the essence of living from the end. Your dream is no longer a distant destination you are chasing. It becomes a state of being you embody. When you truly begin to live from the feeling of fulfillment, your relationship with action also transforms. You still take action, but you no longer act from desperation, fear, or the belief that something is missing. Many people work toward their goals from a place of anxiety, constantly feeling that they must hurry, struggle, and force things into existence because they are afraid they will never arrive. This energy creates resistance because every action carries the hidden message that the desired outcome is still far away. But when you already feel connected to the reality you desire, your actions come from confidence rather than desperation. You move with clarity, purpose, and trust. Your actions become the natural expression of the person you believe yourself to be. The difference is between forcing and creating. When you force something, you are constantly fighting against the feeling that it is not yet yours. You are trying to become someone different because you believe you are incomplete in the present moment. But when you create from a fulfilled state, you are simply allowing the inner reality you have accepted to express itself outwardly. It feels less like chasing and more like becoming. The effort may still exist, but the energy behind it is completely different. You are no longer trying to prove that you can become successful, loved, or abundant. You are acting as someone who already knows these qualities belong to them. As you move towards sleep, enter the quiet space between being awake and dreaming, where the mind becomes more relaxed and receptive. In that peaceful state, imagine a scene that represents your desire as already fulfilled. Do not imagine the struggle of achieving it or the dramatic moment of receiving it. Instead, create a simple moment that could only exist if your desire had already become a normal part of your life. Feel yourself inside that reality. Notice the emotions, the calmness, the confidence, and the natural feeling of having what you once wished for. Allow the image and the feeling to merge into one complete experience, and then fall asleep carrying that state within you. Repeat this practice with patience and consistency. A seed does not reveal the tree on the same day it is planted. Growth happens beneath the surface before it becomes visible. The same is true with inner transformation. Your responsibility is not to constantly question when or how everything will happen. Your responsibility is to continue nurturing the state you have chosen and to avoid destroying it with doubt and fear. The timing, connections, and circumstances that bring your new reality into view unfold in ways that are often beyond what your conscious mind can predict. The unseen process is already working, preparing the path between the inner world you have accepted and the outer world you are about to experience. The universe works through countless circumstances, connections, and moments that the conscious mind could never fully plan or predict. There are movements happening beneath the surface, opportunities appearing, people entering your life, ideas forming, and events aligning in ways that may seem impossible to organize intentionally. Your role is not to control every detail of the journey or force the outcome into existence. Your responsibility is much simpler, yet far more powerful. Continue living from the inner reality you have chosen. Hold the vision of what you desire, remain faithful to that state, and allow the process of transformation to unfold naturally. When the inner assumption becomes stable, life begins to reflect that assumption in ways you may never have been able to design on your own. Many people question how this principle applies to other people. They wonder whether their imagination can influence the actions, thoughts, and choices of those around them. The answer requires understanding the difference between control and influence. This is not about taking away another person's freedom or forcing someone to behave according to your wishes. Instead, it is about recognizing that your experience of people is deeply connected to the assumptions you carry about them. The way you expect people to treat you often shapes the way you interact with them and the possibilities you notice in your relationships. When you consistently assume that people are supportive, kind, honest, and willing to help, you begin to experience more evidence of those qualities in your interactions. Your perception changes, your behavior changes, and the world around you often responds differently. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending that everyone is perfect. It means choosing the version of people you want to experience while still maintaining awareness and wisdom. When you see others through the lens of possibility rather than suspicion, you create a different emotional environment around yourself. Instead of constantly expecting disappointment, betrayal, or conflict, you begin to create space for trust, cooperation, and connection. The creative responsibility that comes with understanding your inner power is not to manipulate others, but to elevate the quality of your own consciousness. Hold the people in your life with assumptions of their potential, their kindness, and their ability to show up positively, while allowing them to be responsible for their own choices. At first, this idea may seem too simple. Many people ask, if changing your inner state can transform your experience, why do so many people remain stuck in situations they do not want? The answer is that the principle itself may be simple, but living it consistently requires a level of awareness and responsibility that many people avoid. It requires looking honestly at your life and understanding that your repeated inner states influence the reality you experience. This does not mean blaming yourself for every difficult event or ignoring external factors. It means recognizing that the way you respond, interpret, and carry yourself internally plays a powerful role in shaping your future. Most people are more comfortable believing that life simply happens to them because that belief removes responsibility. It is easier to see yourself as a victim of circumstances than as an active participant in creating your experience. But accepting your creative power requires a complete shift in perspective. It means understanding that your inner world is not merely a reaction to your environment. It is one of the forces that shapes your environment. This realization can feel challenging because it asks you to leave behind old stories and familiar patterns. Yet, it also brings tremendous freedom, because if your inner state helped create your current experience, then a new inner state can create something different. This understanding is not about gaining power over other people or forcing reality to obey your personal desires. It is about becoming aligned with the deepest version of yourself. It is about creating harmony between who you are internally and what you want to experience externally. When your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions begin moving in the same direction, you no longer create from conflict or desperation. You create from alignment. The outside world begins reflecting the person you have decided to become, because your entire way of seeing, choosing, and responding has changed. The challenge is to practice this consistently. For the next 30 days, choose one meaningful desire, not necessarily the biggest dream you can imagine, but something that feels genuinely important to you right now. Each night before sleep, enter a calm and receptive state. Create a mental scene that suggests your desire has already been fulfilled. Do not imagine the struggle of getting there or the excitement of finally receiving it. Instead, imagine the peaceful normality of already having it. Feel the confidence, gratitude, and naturalness of someone whose desire has become a regular part of life. During the day, carry that inner state with you. Do not try to convince everyone around you or constantly search for proof that things are changing. Let it become a private foundation within you. When doubt appears, do not fight it or criticize yourself for experiencing it. Simply return to the feeling you have chosen, just as you would return to a path after briefly stepping away from it. The key is consistency, not perfection. Do not obsess over the timing or constantly analyze whether the change is happening. Trust the process, continue nurturing the inner state, and allow life to reveal the transformation in its own way. The evidence of transformation does not always arrive in the dramatic ways people expect. Most often, the first signs appear quietly within you before they become visible around you. You may notice that your emotions begin to change, that situations that once created fear no longer have the same power over you, or that you begin carrying yourself with a calm confidence that feels unfamiliar but natural. The first movement happens inside your own consciousness. Your thoughts become different, your reactions become different, and your perception of yourself begins to shift. These internal changes are the foundation upon which external changes are built. The world outside begins to reflect the new state you have accepted within. Before your circumstances transform, your relationship with those circumstances transforms first. One of the greatest mistakes people make during this process is constantly searching for proof that their desire is approaching. They look for signs, analyze every small event, and repeatedly question whether their efforts are producing results. But this constant need to verify progress often comes from the very feeling that keeps them connected to the old reality, the feeling of uncertainty and lack. When you are always asking, "Where is it? When will it happen? Is it working yet?" you are placing your attention on the absence of what you desire rather than the presence of it within you. Your responsibility is not to control every detail of the process or force circumstances to move faster. Your responsibility is to remain faithful to the inner state you have chosen. Just as a seed grows beneath the soil long before anyone sees the tree, your inner transformation develops in unseen ways before it becomes visible in your life. Your imagination is not merely a place for entertainment or temporary escape. It is one of the most powerful creative abilities you possess. It is the space where every new possibility begins before it enters physical form. Every achievement, every invention, every extraordinary accomplishment first existed as an idea within someone's mind before becoming something others could see. Imagination is the bridge between what is invisible and what becomes real. When you use your imagination with awareness and intention, you are not simply creating pleasant thoughts, you are shaping the identity from which your future experiences will emerge. The way you imagine yourself, the emotions you attach to that vision, and the assumptions you repeatedly accept all influence the direction of your life. Use this creative ability with purpose and with genuine care for yourself. This is not about escaping the present moment or pretending that challenges do not exist. It is about recognizing that your current circumstances do not have the final authority over your future. You have the ability to choose the inner state from which you move through life. Imagine the person you truly desire to become. Imagine the confidence, peace, abundance, love, and fulfillment that belong to that version of yourself. Then begin living from that awareness. The greatest form of respect you can offer yourself is to stop limiting your imagination to what already exists and start allowing it to reveal what could become possible. As you continue this practice, the first changes may seem small, but they will carry a different quality. You may wake up one morning feeling lighter without knowing exactly why. You may notice a stronger sense of trust within yourself. You may find yourself making decisions with greater confidence or attracting opportunities that you were previously unable to recognize. A conversation, an idea, a connection, or a circumstance may appear from an unexpected direction and create movement in your life. These moments are not meant to be approached with desperation, as though you are finally receiving the confirmation you have been waiting for. Instead, receive them with calm awareness, because they are natural expressions of the inner state you have consistently maintained. When you plant a seed, you do not dig it up every day to check whether it is growing. You trust the process happening beneath the surface. In the same way, your role is not to constantly disturb your own progress with fear and impatience. Continue nurturing the state you have chosen. Continue returning to the feeling of the reality you desire. Allow the process to unfold naturally. The seed already contains the potential of what it will become, and your consistent belief, attention, and emotional alignment provide the environment for that potential to develop. As your external world begins to reflect the inner state you have cultivated, continue practicing, not because you are desperately trying to make something happen, but because you have discovered a more powerful way of living. You begin to understand that this is not simply a method for achieving a goal, it is a new way of experiencing yourself. Instead of constantly reacting to circumstances, you begin creating from within. Instead of allowing the outside world to determine your identity, you allow your chosen identity to influence the way you experience the outside world. You are not merely someone waiting for life to deliver something to you. You are a conscious participant in shaping your experience. The future you desire is not completely separate from you, existing somewhere unreachable. It begins within your awareness, within your imagination, and within the beliefs you choose to embody. The reality you want is first created internally before it becomes visible externally. The invisible becomes visible through consistent alignment between your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Your life begins changing when you stop waiting for external circumstances to give you permission to become the person you want to be. The transformation does not happen because the world suddenly becomes perfect. It happens because you have changed the source from which you experience the world. You have made a conscious choice to think differently, feel differently, and see yourself differently. The power you were searching for was never somewhere outside of you. It has always existed within your own awareness. The doorway you have been looking for is not somewhere far away in the future. It is already present in this moment. The version of yourself you desire to become already exists as a possibility within you. The only step remaining is to move forward with faith and commitment. The threshold is here. Your hand is already on the door. Step into the reality you have chosen and allow the unseen vision within you to become the visible life before you. The process of transformation often begins so quietly that many people overlook it completely. They expect a major event, a sudden breakthrough, or an obvious sign that everything has changed. But true change rarely announces itself at the beginning. It starts as a subtle movement within your own consciousness. You may notice that you no longer react to problems the same way. Situations that once created anxiety begin to lose their emotional grip over you. You may find yourself feeling more patient, more certain, and more at peace, even before your external circumstances appear different. These internal shifts are not insignificant. They are the first evidence that a new version of yourself is emerging. The person you are becoming appears within your thoughts, emotions, and choices before the world can recognize them. Many people abandon their dreams because they do not immediately see physical proof of change. They plant the seed of a new belief, then constantly return to the soil to check if anything is happening. They question every delay, every obstacle, and every moment where reality appears unchanged. But this constant observation comes from a place of doubt. When you repeatedly search for evidence, you are unconsciously reminding yourself that the thing you desire is still missing. You are looking at the absence instead of embodying the presence. The deepest transformation occurs when you reach a point where you no longer need constant confirmation because you have already accepted the truth internally. You trust the process because your confidence is no longer dependent on what your eyes can immediately see. The invisible world always moves before the visible world. A tree does not appear the moment a seed touches the ground. There is a period where nothing seems to happen, yet beneath the surface, the most important work is taking place. Roots are forming, growth is beginning, and preparation is happening beyond what can be observed. Your desires often work in the same way. The changes happening within your mind, your emotions, and your identity are creating the foundation for what will eventually appear in your experience. Your task is not to force the flower to open. Your task is to provide the right environment and allow nature to complete its process. Your imagination is the beginning point of every reality you experience. It is not simply a mental picture or a temporary escape from the challenges of life. It is the place where you rehearse and accept new possibilities. Before a person changes their career, builds a relationship, creates a successful business, or achieves something meaningful, they often first experience it internally as an idea, a vision, or a feeling. The external achievement is simply the final expression of something that already existed within them. When you learn to use imagination consciously, you stop seeing yourself as limited by what currently exists and begin connecting with what can become possible. The quality of your imagination matters because it shapes the identity you carry. If you imagine your desired future while feeling desperate, afraid, or unworthy, you continue reinforcing the identity of someone who does not have it. But when you imagine from a place of calm certainty, you begin becoming the person who naturally belongs in that reality. The goal is not to pretend that everything has changed overnight. The goal is to develop the inner state of the person who would already experience that life. Someone who is truly confident does not constantly prove their confidence. Someone who feels worthy does not repeatedly beg for validation. Someone who feels abundant does not make every decision from fear of losing. As this inner shift becomes stronger, your actions begin changing naturally. You start making different choices, noticing different opportunities, and responding to life from a different perspective. The same situation that once looked like an obstacle may now appear as an opportunity. The same person who once intimidated you may no longer have power over your emotions. The same challenge that once felt impossible may become something you know you can handle. The world has not necessarily changed overnight. Your relationship with the world has changed. And because your perception has changed, your experience of life begins changing with it. When new opportunities begin appearing, do not approach them with the energy of someone who has been rescued after a long struggle. Receive them with the calmness of someone who understands that they are a natural reflection of the state they have cultivated. A person who has planted a seed does not feel shocked when a plant begins growing. They understand that growth was the natural outcome of what was already placed into motion. In the same way, when your inner world becomes aligned with your desires, the outer world begins expressing that alignment in ways that feel natural rather than accidental. Continue returning to the state you have chosen, especially during moments of uncertainty. Doubt may appear, fear may appear, old patterns may attempt to pull you back into familiar thinking. This does not mean you have failed, it simply means you are human. The important thing is not whether doubt appears. The important thing is whether you allow doubt to become your permanent identity. When you notice yourself returning to old fears, gently redirect yourself. Return to the vision, return to the feeling, return to the understanding that the person you desire to become is created through repeated inner choices. Eventually, you realize that this practice is no longer only about achieving a specific goal. It becomes a way of living. You stop giving all your power to external events and begin recognizing the influence of your inner world. You become more intentional with your thoughts, more aware of your emotions, and more conscious of the assumptions you carry every day. Instead of allowing circumstances to define you, you begin choosing the state from which you experience those circumstances. The greatest shift happens when you understand that the life you desire is not something completely separate from who you are. It is not a distant place that requires you to become someone else before you can reach it. It begins with the person you choose to be now. The future version of yourself is created through the thoughts you accept today, the feelings you practice today, and the identity you continue strengthening today. The doorway is not waiting somewhere in the distance, it is already before you. Every time you choose faith over fear, possibility over limitation, and creation over reaction, you move closer to that threshold. The person who enters that doorway is not a completely different person. It is you, the version of you that has finally recognized the power that was already within. The seed has been planted, the process has begun. Continue nurturing it and allow what exists within you to become what is visible around you.